This is Evan Turner, heads up FPV, and I'm not trying to blow up your head, but he's one of the fastest racers, FPV racers, probably in the world. I think he's up there. And I'm really glad that you're here today because I've been focusing a little more on racing, and I built this, your build, 533 Switchback Pro, flies great. Right, that's why I built. This is a way better quad than I am a pilot, but I wanted to know that my gear wasn't holding me back. And I am kind of plateauing.
Yep.
So I've been working these courses, and I'll get to a point where I'll kind of hit a certain speed and just can't seem to get any faster.
I'm hoping, I've been watching a lot of your racing here recently, and it seems like maybe you are hitting a plateau, but my, I guess, goal would be to help you and all the people, the viewers watching, to see how I kind of pick apart a course like this. This is not a standardized course by any means. I haven't practiced it at all, and we're gonna come out here, pick apart this entire course, try and hit our best time, then kind of think about where we can improve, and then go out there and execute. So that's kind of what we're gonna do throughout this entire day, and hopefully we can get you to a new level maybe in racing, and hopefully kind of see how I do it every single time I go out and fly.
I'm Joshua Bardwell, and you're gonna learn something today. I'm gonna learn something today. All right, Evan, show us what you've made.
Okay, so I guess I set up a lot of tracks on my day. One of my biggest things that I focus on in practicing is not getting used to a track. Like I feel like once you start like going off muscle memory, it's not even like useful at that point. So I always try and fly like, get to a certain point where I plateau, and then it's like, all right, time to change the track because I'm not learning anything. But I can learn a lot by like learning a new track, adapting very quickly, and that is what counts on race day, because that's when you're like, all right, first pack, I'm gonna learn the track, I'm gonna get super used to it because I've practiced learning new tracks so much, and then now the rest is focusing on getting faster and more consistent when everybody else is having to learn the track.
It's interesting to hear you say that, because like if you were gonna go into the global qualifier, you wouldn't go into that cold. Yeah. You would have practiced it in the simulator, or you would have set up a track like this and you would have practiced it.
Correct. But when you're at, like, global qualifier only means so much. When you go to an actual race, like the multi-GP champs or DRL or whatever it may be,
yeah.
It's all about they're gonna give you a new track the day of,
right,
and you're gonna have to just learn it.
So there's different kinds of race events. Some you'll be able to prep, and others you'll need to be able to pick it up on the day of. But I think what you're saying is that constantly challenging yourself to be able to fly cold is a way to improve.
Totally, yeah. You don't want to ever be like, oh yeah, I set this time on a course that I've flown for 300 batteries and I haven't memorized, I can fly it in my sleep. Like, that's not helping anybody. But if you're going out, all right, and you don't even have to move the gates. Like, we're flying a global qualifier, and all we did was just change the way we flew it.
Yeah.
And now we have a completely new track.
You're kind of just flying it backwards, although not quite, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's slightly different.
Yeah.
But there's still some of the same elements. You're still getting some of that good practice, but it's not muscle memory that you're relying on. It's actually improving your skill. Okay. So, like, for example, for I'm in the middle of training for DRL right now, and so I have approximately like 15 batteries total. And what I'll do is I'll charge them all up. I have 15 batteries charged, and then I'll fly all 15. And then after that 15, I'll usually have hit a plateau of like, if I practice 15 more, I would get maybe a 1/10 of a second faster, and that's not worth my time. Yeah. So I'll just change the track and then focus on that, because on race day at DRL, it is so important to be consistent on that new track and be more comfortable than everybody else.
All right, through here, we'll turn to the right. You swung a little wide here. I'm just gonna talk it through.
Yep.
Through here. Now, coming through here, it would be good to enter this facing a little to the right to make that tighter instead of going straight through. Here, I'm not sure what the best line is there, whether to swing wide. And then here, if you didn't go straight through but shaved it, it would be better. But, don't.
Beta flight.
All right, and then fast as you can through the straight without ridiculously overshooting. Yeah, okay. I feel like that could be a lot tighter. That feels reasonably smooth, but not that fast. All right, so getting it down into the 25, 26 range, I feel like those are laps where that's where it's going to settle a little bit.
Yeah.
If I do like 5 more packs, I'll consistently get it down to 25, 27, except when I screw up.
Yeah.
And that's the point where we can start talking about like technique or mistakes that I'm making.
Yeah.
What do you think? What are you seeing?
Yeah, so the first thing, I was trying to think of something I could compare it to, and it's like, it's not offensive in any way, but like, so my sister's learning how to drive right now, okay?
Okay,
And
all right.
what the biggest thing she struggles with is like, you know how like you're supposed to slow down into a turn and you accelerate through the turn, like that's like the perfect way to like enter a corner, with a car, with a car.
Yeah.
You slow into the corner and then you accelerate through the corner and exit the corner. Now what I'm seeing with you is like, you'll come into one of these corners, especially like the ladder, for example, and it seems like you get really slow into it and you'll get through it, but you're not accelerating through the turn. It seems like you just come out, you get all the way through the turn, you get on the straightaway, and then you add power. So what we're trying to do is we're gonna slow into the turn. You're doing it great. Your entrances into these ladders and things like that are fantastic. You're really breaking into it, which is great. But then you're just not adding any throttle coming through them, and you're just kind of putting your way through the turn. You get through it, and then you're giving throttle. Okay. So what I'm seeing that we can, that's something we can easily improve upon, and you're gonna swing a little bit wider when you do this, which
I'm trying to stay smooth and tight through the turn and not apply throttle and swing wide, but then also I don't like to apply throttle when I haven't seen the next gate.
Yeah, so one of the biggest things you're gonna start to notice, and I say this pretty much to anybody who ever asks me for tips, is as you get faster, the one thing that will definitely change is you will see gates less and less. The less you see gates, the faster you're gonna go. Because then it just comes down to, basically all we're flying around here are flags. All these, there's 3 flags, a gate is made up of 3 flags. And the way I think about it is, so you're entering into one of these split S's, and say the top bar, or a dive gate, for example. A dive gate is not a gate, it's a single bar hung like that. And as long as you pre-turn and you just aim to get around that bar and keep it tight, it doesn't matter what the rest of the gate is doing.
Okay.
So that means I'm not even looking at that gate. All I care about is that bar. And these gates right here in this like 180 section, all I care about are those 2 flags that are standing vertical. I'm not caring about how tall it is. And that is just, at least mentally, that takes away I need to make it through this gate. All I'm saying is I need to get around these 3 flags, these 3 poles.
Yeah.
And that really helps me improve, because at the end of the day, we're gonna be below 5 feet. Once you get the altitude control, then you're just flying around flags the whole time. So that is definitely, like you were saying, you're wanting to see the gate, and that's really difficult, and that's something you have to kind of get away from, is like, I need to just focus. I know the gate, when I go around this pole, I know the gate's gonna be there. I don't need to look for the gate. I just need to get around this pole and go, and the gate will be there no matter what.
So I'm thinking about my exit line from the ladder, for example, and not as much about finding the next apex, if you will.
So when you're turning around that ladder, you're gonna be obviously shooting off to the left to get to that next gate. The only pole we care about is that left standing pole, the one that's vertical. So we're gonna get around that ladder, find that pole, and we wanna shoot it as quick as an angle as we can right by that pole, and we just wanna get there. Like you always wanna be telling yourself, like, get around, all right, get to that gate, get to that. We don't wanna be looking at it. We never wanna be looking at the gate. We wanna be getting through it and focusing on the next one. Gotcha. So I guess I'll do a pack and kind of talk about, I'll try and improve my times, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I'm gonna try to talk about the way I'm gonna try to decipher this. So I'm gonna come through this first gate, let's see. And we're just gonna talk about this first element first. We wanna take biggest thing is like distance traveled. So I'm gonna do a hard cut the second I get through that gate and look for this flag. So I'm gonna come down the straightaway, do a hard cut, cutting off distance immediately. And then I'm gonna come around, and I'm kind of aiming for that corner almost, really.
Yeah.
Is I'm gonna come around, and all I'm just gonna do, aim around this corner, then kind of wrap around, and then look for this next flag immediately. It's all about cutting distance off like that. So come around here, find the corner.
Now you're swinging a little wide around that flag. You're not coming, or that gate. You're not coming straight down on top of it.
Yeah, because then what it's doing is it allows me to wrap up a little bit better through here.
Yeah.
And so if I were to cut it like really hard, yes, this would be faster, but it's just not as consistent. So we're gonna talk about consistent lines first, and then like as you get really fast, like you can kind of do something like that. As you can see, it's less consistent. So
I understand.
Corner, and then find this next flag immediately, because we have all the power in the world to carve through these.
Right.
So we're gonna do a hard cut, and then and then what I kind of like to do is, we have all these flags, we can do as much power as we want. But then we can use this one down here as like an air brake, so we can kind of slow ourselves down. Yeah,
so you're cutting that one tight and going straighter, as opposed to swinging wide and making a smoother turn.
Well, I guess if I were to be going really fast, I would cut out a little bit wider and let it air brake, and then you come at it at an angle.
But if you come in as fast as you can fly that arc, you're gonna overshoot the ladder. So if you come super fast there, you're gonna be more likely.
Yeah, more likely, yes. And then it's just coming down to pre-turning. But so then I'm gonna come out here, and I'm gonna be looking. I'm not gonna try and come through the gate directly out to the field, I'm gonna be trying to come through this gate at this angle right here every time, because that's pointing me right where I want to go. So I'm gonna do the ladder, and I might swing a little bit wider, but I'm pointed right this way. And then, the next thing, this is like a momentum game at this point, so there's two options for the split S. You can go above it and split S through here, and then at this point you have to think, I'm coming down here, coming pretty much to a complete stop, and then coming through the gate, which I don't want to do. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come around the ladder, exit the way I want, I'm gonna swing a little bit wide, but then I carry all that momentum, because you can kind of apex it almost. So you swing a little wide, and then you just carry all that momentum through there, and it's so efficient and so fast.
Yeah, I can see that that's faster.
And then same here, we'll just find that corner, wrap around, and then all these are pretty much just risk versus reward. That's all it is.
Because the tighter you can shave that, the faster you go, but then the more likely you are to crash. I'm like practically stopping and turning into it.
Now, this is kind of like the faster you go, the easier they get almost, because you have that inertia. So what I would do here is you kind of flick out, and then you're able to turn in, but once you have that speed, that kind of carries you through the turn. So here, carries you through it.
JB, 28.2.
Nice.
See, I'm overturning when I do that.
Wide to the right, and then swing in like you would a car. There you go. So now you kept up that airspeed a lot better there.
Like that? Yeah.
JB, 24.96.
Close enough.
Yep.
From here.
Swing wide. Beautiful.
Ooh, that was close.
That was good. Yeah, you had a 24.9, and you were barely going.
No way. No, shut up.
Yep.
For real?
Seriously.
I kind of don't believe you.
It says 24.
I believe you. That's faster than any of my other laps.
And you were barely going.
I was barely going.
You had so much left to give.
How?
I don't know.
How is that possible? That doesn't seem possible.
I know all the time right now is in these two little 180s, like the one at the beginning and the end. I think if you right now you're really focusing on keeping it slow and like tight. I think if you're able to add just a little bit power, point that nose down a little bit more, and just carry more speed through there, and like
through this 180 here.
Yeah, through that 180 there, and then that 180 down there. I think that would allow you to exit with more speed, which would get you to that next gate faster, or this next flag faster, which would cut off a good amount of time. And since we have it in two different spots on the track, if you do that in both spots, then you'll cut off a significant amount of time.
So trying to stay as tight as possible isn't good. It may be better to go faster and swing
It's
wide.
not always best to stay as tight as possible, correct.
You're saying I shouldn't just be trying to replicate your lines just slower. I mean, it's true though, because the optimal line for someone who's flying at 85% throttle is different than the optimal line for someone who's flying at 55% throttle.
Correct, yeah. That is exactly true. You can swing a little bit wider, but carry some more speed, and you will go faster.
All right. Damn it.
I got that one. That one's on me.
Damn it.
That one's hard.
Yeah.
You want to try bumping your up tilt up a little bit?
Sure.
Because if you're hitting the tops of gates, then that should help.
All right. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Is that a little?
Yeah, so now the props are touching the bottom of the frame.
Yeah.
13.44.
All right.
Catching you now, all of a sudden.
This race is over.
All I'd be worried about is the straightaway. Just be careful on the straightaway.
What do you mean?
Like just that you hit the ground.
Yeah, I feel it.
JB, 6.48.
There you go.
Oh, see now, no, hang on.
Good.
I'm cornering differently.
It'll help you right here a lot. There you go.
Yeah, it makes it not as likely to slow down when you slow down, if that makes sense. Nope.
Oh no, once you get used to it, I think it'll be really helpful.
JB, 30.12.
Yeah, see how it's pulling you through those? All right, easy here, yeah.
Too wide, too wide.
Okay.
Nope.
Pull you through.
See, that's where I'm losing time.
For sure. It seems like you're just you're kind of stalling out almost. You don't have enough speed out of it.
JB, 25.92.
That last one was a 25.92. It just read in. Oh, nice.
24.72.
24.72?
Yeah, yay!
We're getting fast. It was just if we're crashing on the straightaways, that's an easy fix. That's an easy fix.
The motors cool off.
Yeah, the best way to cool down these motors, fun fact, is the shafts are hollow, so if you blow on the prop nut through the shaft, that's what I do. It's bad. Yeah.
Are you sure? You're not just,
No, I swear to God, no. Because like when I bend a prop, like, motors get hot, and I'll just sit there and. But my newest tip is have a fan, like a little box fan. Mm-hmm. You lay it down, like if it has a stand, so it can still suck in air. You set the quad on top of it between your packs, and it'll cool it down.
I'm pretty amazed the motors aren't smoking.
Oh no,
they're hot as.
They'll keep going.
They're hot as heck.
I believe.
They're hot as heck.
It's I remember they were like, so do you want the highest temperature rated wire or not the highest? I was like, probably the highest. And they seem to take a lot of abuse heat-wise. Good save. Oh, nice. Beautiful.
No, son!
23.8.
I knew that was going to be a fast one. I almost tanked it.
I take my goggles off in the straight to press the lap button, and I heard you touch grass, and I was just ready to turn my head. If there's video of this, you can see me clench my right eye. I was like, oh no.
Thank you, Evan.
Of course.
I appreciate the advice.
Of course, of course.
I think the stuff that I'm going to try and keep in mind going forward is, I know it's such basic advice, but to think about the lining up like the gates 1, 2, 3, not just thinking about getting through this gate. And I know that consciously, but I definitely have been like these two gates out here. Yeah. I was thinking about I'm going to smoothly spiral through them, mm-hmm. right? Yeah. But then I hit that one and I'm coming straight out of it, and I'm really not thinking. So I really wasn't extrapolating that through the course as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And then the other thing is, and this was great, is swinging wider.
Yeah.
So that you can carry more speed through the gate, can be a net positive.
Yep. And you can see the gate longer.
The tightest line is not necessarily the best line.
And that's also to show that, like, if you go and watch Min Chan or like some of these top pilots.
Well, that's exactly, because you watch Min Chan, mm-hmm. and he is so tight.
Yeah, and he's not looking at any of it.
You think that the way to do it is to, and swinging wide is a really common beginner mistake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like I was so focused on stay tight, don't swing wide. Yeah. That I was going much slower than I really actually could have been.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just like you were saying earlier, like the lines are different when you're at 100% throttle the whole time versus when you're at 50% throttle. So just because Min Chan is flying directly at the gate, pre-turning perfectly and watching it flash by, doesn't mean that it would be faster for you to go at 50% throttle, swing past it by 15 feet, come to a complete stop, and then re-accelerate. When in reality, you could stay at 50% throttle the whole time, swing 20 feet to the right, and arc in and exit that gate at 50 miles an hour instead of exiting it at 30 miles an hour. Yeah. And that's just something that over time, like, yes, you can start to make your way towards the Min Chan style, but a lot of people miss out on the fact that there's a difference in lines between the best and a like lower tier pilot.
Yeah. I think one other thing I'm definitely going to work on is hitting these gates, hitting them at as shallow an angle as I can. Mm-hmm, yeah. Because like a lot of these ones, if you can consistently hit it at a shallow angle versus going zoop, 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 you're going to go a lot faster.
Yep. that also just comes down to like a risk versus reward thing. So like when you get down into a race, maybe the first heat of the race, yeah, I can afford to swing a little bit wider because maybe these people will be nervous. But then once you get to like a final and it's like, well, I'm already here, the lowest I can get is 4th, then sure, I'm gonna cut a little bit tighter and cut through there. But yeah, if you can even swing wider, but just shoot through the gate at an angle, it doesn't mean you have to like slither your way through it like some of the guys are doing.
Kind of like cock it and go through.
Exactly. If you swing wide, but then if you're going through it at that angle, pointed at that next gate, then more than anything, that would help, if nothing else. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you, Evan. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You can build this exact quadcopter. It's a damn good quadcopter, and you'll definitely know that it won't be your gear holding you back. Yeah. That's for sure.
Confidence in your gear is important.
Yeah. Happy flying, guys. Good luck in your next race.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you.
Thank you. You guys, I don't know where I am, and I don't know what's going to happen, but if I don't make it out of this, I just want to know that you subscribe to my channel, or maybe join my Patreon, or click one of these videos I picked out for you.